Hi there, Simone. So let's take a look at this and see what you wrote about the movie preferences. Okay, so the chart provides information on which movie genres. Now, why is it movie? Because movie here is acting like an adjective, and because it's an adjective, you cannot put an S on the end because we don't add plurals to our adjectives, okay? So let's try that again. The chart provides information on which movie genres are the favorite among young adults would be better here. Evidencing the differences between males and females' taste. Okay, again, you could say male and female taste or male and females apostrophe taste. Okay, so a couple of little different things you need to do. Okay. So overall data shows that there is a common genre. Here you need commas. So comma, comma. Let's try it again. Overall data shows that there is a common genre, comma, comedy, comma, that is the preferred for both genders. Other types of movies such as horror and animation have the same pattern. The preferences are almost equal. There is a slight difference of 9 preferences. All right, that doesn't make any sense, Simone. I don't know what this means here. You could have just said here that genre is the preferred genre. Comedy is a preferred genre for both genders. The other movie genres showed a difference in preferences or something like that. Or you could just say that despite some differences between the genders for different genres, comedy is the most popular with both. That would probably be a great way to say this. So, a closer look points out a marked distance in drama in which female preference is 86 against 63 males. Stop. Together with romantic, it is the only genre in which females overtake males. I don't understand at least here. The main difference is in romantic. I don't understand the sentence at all. In these two categories, one gender is much more relevant than the other. Not relevant, that's the wrong word. Respectively, in romantic movies, female preferences are 4 times greater, not bigger, than male ones. At the opposite, in action films, males overtake females by 55 units. All right, so what we've got here is a lot of different problems. Let's see. So, okay, with comedy, you talked about that. Then you talked about drama. Then you talked about romantic. You talked about action. But I don't see anything about animation. I don't see anything about horror. So, here's the thing. There's something in IELTS called key features. And what are those key features? The key features are essentially all the different categories that you have to talk about. You don't have to go into detail about all of them, but you do have to mention them. So what do I mean? We need to know that this is about males and females, and we need to know the 6 names of these different genres. All right, you left out 2. And so with that sort of omission, it's going to drop your task achievement score to a 4. So this is something you cannot do. All right? You absolutely have to mention all the categories and name them. Even if you say nothing else about them, you have to at least provide a name. So, I didn't really understand the way you decided to organize this. There are a lot of different ways you could have organized this. There's a ton of different ways. One way that's really popular among lots of students is dividing the paragraphs by sex. So you spend one paragraph where you talk about the male preferences, and then you spend a second paragraph talking about female preferences. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to talk about the categories that are really similar. Okay, so you could talk about comedy is really similar, animation is really similar, and horror is really similar. All right, so you can't really say those are big differences between the 2 genders. Then you could have had a different paragraph saying that the remaining 3 categories had considerable differences between the 2 genders. So more specifically, Okay, and then you can talk about this, all right, and then this even, which had like a 20 unit difference, and then this, of course, which is like 3 times lower for men. All right, so a bunch of different ways you can organize this, but you do have to do some organization here, and you do again have to mention all of them. All right, so hopefully that information is helpful on how you can organize your paragraphs and how you can organize the information you see here. Obviously, there were some areas here as well that lacked coherence. I don't know if it was grammar necessarily or if it was vocabulary, but definitely there were some sections that I just didn't understand. And in an answer that is so brief, you can't really get away with that. You have to be very careful and make sure that you are accurate. 146 words. Okay, so let's move on. I want to take a look at your task 1. Okay, international marketing. Let's see what you wrote here. Nowadays, after the globalization, countries of different cultures are, than in the past, more closed. International marketing plays a central role in spreading this new phenomenon that has brought both positive and negative aspects. In my opinion, the affection of marketing is generally good, but at the same time, it created some disadvantages that I'm going to illustrate in the essay. Okay, so first of all, there are a number of grammar errors that I found throughout this paragraph. Number 1. Number 2, there's some vocabulary errors. So let's look at correcting, excuse me, some of these mistakes so that we can improve this paragraph. Nowadays, under the influence of globalization, countries are of different, I don't really understand this sentence. What are you telling us? That globalization has made countries of different cultures more closed? That is a kind of strange position, because most people say that our borders are now more open than ever because of globalization. So maybe you meant something different here, but what you wrote is a little strange, and it's a little contradictory to what popular opinion is. But I mean, if that is your opinion, then you have every right to it. So let's change it again. Nowadays, as a result of globalization, countries of different cultures are more closed than in the past, without these commas, no commas. International marketing plays a central role in spreading. What is this new phenomenon? You haven't talked about new phenomenon. Is it globalization? Is that what you're referring to? It's not clear because you had several nouns in that previous sentence. You had globalization, you had countries, you had different cultures. So it's very confusing. We don't know what this phenomenon refers to. And I didn't understand this word, the affection of marketing. What does that mean? You mean something different. The affection is the wrong word here. And then the rest is fine. So moving on. First of all, global marketing, I don't want all these commas. Commas act like a speed bump. We don't want them. We only use the necessary commas that help create meaning. If it doesn't help create meaning, then we don't want it, because this is just a speed bump here. So first of all, global marketing, mainly coming from Western countries, has brought to some countries a lifestyle and consequently an economic and political pattern which helps them, with all the difficulties, to grow positively. For instance, in Arabian states, during the last decades, women have been fighting hard, careful with all of this, for their emancipation. What? Not only, as I mentioned, importing the Western democratic culture, many populations fed up by monarchy are trying to establish a democracy, as it is happening in Iran. Okay. You want to say something totally different, Simone. You don't want to say what you've written here. You want to say, in addition, as I mentioned, importing the Western democratic culture, many populations which are tired of their monarchy are trying to establish a democracy, as in Iran. Okay, now you got to be really careful here because you're not talking about marketing. All right, are you trying to tell us that marketing is promoting the idea of democracy? If that's what you're trying to tell us, you're going to have to do a lot of work to explain this, to explain to us how this is happening. How can international marketing do such a thing? And it's going to be, you're going to have to develop it a lot more because it's a lofty idea, but it needs definitely a lot more development. So my belief is that the spread of Western culture in all its manifestations through marketing has shown another possibility of lifestyle to these populations. Okay, so basically, apart from the fact that we've got a lot of grammatical errors in this paragraph, you need to be a little more tangible with some of your development. So you need to give us some examples, give us some illustration, tell us what you're talking about, make it clear to us so that we understand. So how is this idea of encouraging Western democratic culture, how is it supported by marketing? Can you tell us an example, a commercial, an ad, something? Okay. Now, not only that, but this is only really dealing with one of the sides of this argument, which is talking about the spreading of ideas. But what about being a necessary form of education, spreading language and culture? You haven't really touched upon those at all. So, again, I'm going to say this. Apart from the grammar errors that I found in this paragraph, there are also some errors in terms of the development of it in order to make it well developed and to get a high score for task achievement. So let's move on. On the other side, we don't say on the other side, we say on the other hand. But in order to say on the other hand, you have to say on the one hand. So this should have been on the one hand, and this should be on the other hand. It is really important to remember that each state can freely choose its way. So, cultural promotion of a model through international marketing, like in other ways, has not been an imposition. Often our model is presented with no discussions as the best existence, but is it true? And mainly, is it fair imposed to a foreign country or lifestyle above their one? All right, I'm afraid, Simone, I have no idea what this is talking about, how it's relevant to the topic. What are you telling us? That each state can choose its way. So promoting a model is not an issue. It's not creating intrusion. What does it say? Our models as the best, is it true? So this is really, it's problematic in a lot of ways. First of all, you're not really answering the question. You're supposed to discuss both views. So you're essentially supposed to talk about this view and say why international marketing is seen as invasive and intrusive, what kind of validity might exist in that viewpoint, okay? So why do the people who think this, okay? And then you have to develop it with examples, explanations, illustration, and so forth, okay? What you've done is, again, you've just been very theoretical, and you've essentially discounted this position. You've said, no, that's ridiculous. We all have free will. We all can choose what we want. So, you know, let's not be silly and assume that international marketing can be an intrusion and invasion. But that's just not enough, and that's not what you're supposed to be arguing here. You're not supposed to just discount it. You're actually supposed to discuss it and see why people might have this view, okay? Okay, and then again, lots of grammar, lots of vocabulary that was problematic. So in conclusion, international marketing has been contributing to share different lifestyles all over the world. Change of the syntax. To share different lifestyles, cultures, ideas all over the world, even if we do not like it, it is a phenomenon to deal with. Phenomenon with an N, not without one. Its benefits are relevant, although people who work in this field should be very respectful and prepared to face any type of cultures. Okay. Again, grammar, but other than that, it was okay. So, what do I want to tell you? I want to tell you that I think you would really benefit from the online course because we provide a template to help you kind of organize your thoughts, make them very coherent, make them very cohesive, and really make sure that they answer the question that has been asked of you. I think you would really benefit from this kind of structure. Also, there's lots of work about, generating ideas and sentences that can help you really score high. So I really want to encourage you to do that. I think you'll find it very helpful. So hopefully that's something you'll look at. I look forward to seeing you on the course. So go ahead and think about it, and I wish you good luck.